Hello everybody, this will be a video on how to calculate leverage size when it comes to trading. Leverage is a very powerful tool in business in general, and it's a good way to become rich. Just using other people's money so you don't have to use as much as your own money. However, there are huge downsides to leverage, especially to people who don't know how to use it really, and people who kind of put it on without really calculating out the risks. In this video, I hope to point out the risks at play, how to properly do the math, and just kind of do all the math in calculating trading size and your position size. This video will be mainly on the math involved in trading. If you guys found this video useful, please give me a like and subscribe if possible. It helps me make more videos like this. Anyways, the first thing I want to start off with is identify your total trading capital, your total trading portfolio. It can be separate from your investment portfolio, so keep that in mind. I wouldn't trade with all of my investment portfolio, but just a separate cash or Tether or Bitcoin, whatever it may be, portfolio in this mind. And so with this, I'd say identify the total trading capital. So if we have, say we're trading with $10,000. This will allow us to calculate out how much we are willing to risk, and I highly recommend that you only risk 1% of that total trading account. So I'm going to write down capital at risk. And so it's going to be 1% of that 10%. Let me do this on my calculator. I mean, I know the answer, but just showing you. So $10,000 times 0.01, which will be $100. So keep this in mind, how much you're willing to risk right here. This will be derived from how much your stop loss is. And so this, if we were to long here and say we're going to put our stop loss right below that. And so we have a percentage stop loss of 0.94%. And so with this stop loss percentage in mind, we can calculate out our position size. And our position size is equal to the capital at risk, so our $100 divided by our stop loss as a decimal. And so in order to convert that 0.94%, 94, you divide this by 100 just to get a simple decimal. So this will be your denominator. And so we are risking capital at risk $100 divided by 0.0094. So then we can put $10,638 on the trade. And if we get stopped out, we only risk or losing $100 of that total $10,000. So after this, if we do lose, we'll have $9,900 left on the trade. And so let's go in and actually find out what our leverage and the amount of leverage, which is optional, without us getting liquidated and losing more money than we should. There are liquidation fees involved. I think it's like 0.5% of the margin, which is really extra fees. And I don't recommend getting liquidated because it just eats up your trading account really. And so with this, we are going to go back to our position size. So this was the position size that we calculated from earlier. I rounded down so it makes things less complex, especially when you are putting it into your broker. In this case, I am using Bybit as my broker. And so with this, we can actually go to the calculator, which is right here. I am in USD perpetual Bitcoin USDT. Just how to get there. And this is where the part you were actually like put in your order, right? So I'm just gonna come up here and right by where you have the isolated and your leverage, whatever, is a calculator. Now there are two different types of leverage. There's isolated, which uses a calculation for liquidation price based on the amount of margin that you put on. So your position size, which is really the amount you want to risk. And then there's cross margin, which does your whole trading capital and it predicts a liquidation price based off of that. I highly recommend that you do not use cross margin ever, especially as a beginner, until you get really known or figure out what you're really doing and become like more of an expert trader. Because if you really forget about a position and you have cross margin on, you can probably lose your whole account, and that wouldn't really not be good. So I recommend isolated margin. It's much more simpler to calculate out and it doesn't eat your whole trading capital. So with this, we're gonna close out of this and we're gonna go to this calculator. And when you first go on to this, you want to see these tabs up here. We're going to go to liquidation price. And then so from here, it's really just an experimenting game and just kind of fiddling out and deciding it. I'm sorry, but there really is no exact leverage you should use, but there is like a range of leverage you should use based on your stop loss. And so here, this may get kind of messy because price is kind of jumping all around right now, but based off of earlier, this calculated thing, we keep note of our entry price. And so we're going to write down, I'm going to write down 38848 and then just experiment with 1000x leverage. Quantity doesn't really matter that much, but just keep in mind your position size from these steps right here. So bear with me, please. And so what we're going to do is just hit enter, and here your position or your liquidation price comes up. Now you check to see if this liquidation price is, in this case, since we're longing, smaller than the stop loss amount. And so we go back to here and we can see our stop loss amount, the price we get stopped out at, is 38,429. Now we are going to get liquidated and lose all our margin before we hit our 0.94% stop loss. Therefore, this amount of leverage is not optimal for us, so we need to go lower. Let's try 85. And here, if we type that in, we can still see that it is higher than what our stop loss is. Therefore, we gotta continue to go down. So we'll do 70. We'll double check to see if our liquidation price here is lower than our stop loss here, which it is not. It is still, we still need to lower it. So we'll try 60. And really, you see how I'm kind of fiddling around with this. And finally, we do get a liquidation price that is lower than our stop loss. And so with this, I would probably use 60x leverage in this optimal trade. And so you would just enter that in, and then you would make sure that you enter in your stop loss so you don't get liquidated. And that is pretty much how you would do it for this. Now, before actually putting this into Bybit, make sure that you change your long isolated margin right here to 60. But I'm gonna go back and just keep it at 10 because that's what I really use. But really the amount of leverage doesn't quite depend as long as you aren't getting liquidated, and as long as you have enough margin or funds to provide the position. So don't be stressed out in having to do this. Really, you can be fine most of the time doing 5x, 3x leverage, and having enough money for it. So let's do a different example. We'll do a short example. Let's say we enter right here and we have put our stop loss right above the wick right here. This probably wouldn't have been an optimal trade, but we're just going to use this as an example. So we're going to keep this in mind. Our 1.81% stop loss. And so again, we're going to keep these factors the same. The capital size, just to keep things simple. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. I recommend risking only 1%. And so these factors are going to change. So what is our stop loss? It is 1.81%. And so to get that, we need to calculate out our position size. So our position size, again, is the amount of capital at risk divided by stop loss. And so if I want to get that decimal, I'm going to type in 1.81% divided by 100. And so we're going to keep this decimal in mind for calculating out our position size. So we're going to take 100 divided by that, so 0.0181. And this will be our position size, 5,524. And I round down because I'd like to keep it simple. So 5,524. Oh, let me retype that. Okay. And so again, right here. And here we're going to go and calculate out how much leverage to really use. And so just enter in any amount because we're going to have our position size in mind. And so the entry price right here is 39,538. So 39538. Let me double check. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna go up one number just to be safe. So and then we can just kind of guess, plug and chug. I'm just gonna start out with 50. And we're going to go short. And so we're going to double check to see if this is greater than, in this case, since we're shorting our stop loss. So our stop loss price is going to be 40,253. This is 40,132. So we need to lower down our leverage. And so I'm going to put in 40x leverage, and we're going to get this liquidation price. And let's see if that is higher than our stop loss, and which it is. And so I'm going to use 40x leverage for this short in this example. And so we keep that in mind, and then we go to the short tab right here, and then we just type in 40. I'm going to change that back to 10, but type in 40, and then we just enter in how we would normally. Again, don't use the same leverage over and over again. Especially when you're using this high of leverage, keep your leverage small most of the time, and remember to change your leverage back to that smaller amount, just in case for future cases that you forget. So I just reminding you there. So again, guys, please be careful when using leverage, especially a lot of beginners. who are watching this video. Stick with isolated margin and really just use low leverage if you don't guys want to avoid all this calculating out size. But the key takeaway to take away from this video is memorize this: position size equals capital at risk divided by stop loss amount. I will leave this in the description too, so you guys can jot it down or whatever, or pause this video. And if you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Plus, I'll leave a link to a free Discord in the description where I post all my trades along with other crypto related ideas. Thanks. Bye.